Oh, hey there. So this is a custom video lesson for Donald from New York, who hired me to transcribe Les Paul's solo to The World is Waiting for the Sunrise. I'm going to start by playing this solo up to speed, and it goes something like this. And here's the solo at half speed. So I've created 4 different backing tracks for you. There's one where it's at half speed, one slightly faster, I think it was 180. And then this is where it gets interesting. In the original recording, it's in D flat, key of D flat. But actually Les is playing in the key of C. What? Basically what he did is, or whoever decided to do it, was to speed up the recording so that the pitch is raised, but also it sounds faster. I don't know why they decided to do it. I mean, obviously it does change the tone of the guitar, and Les was a big fan of that. So who knows, maybe he wanted to make it seem faster, or maybe he wanted that specific tone, or maybe a combination of the two. At any rate, the original tempo, if you do the math, you know, just calculate it, the original tempo would have been around, I'd say 230, 235. So I have a backing track at that speed for you. Then I have a backing track at full tempo of the finalized recording version, which is around 260, 265. Okay? So let's get started with the lesson. The solo is actually pretty easy, in my opinion anyway. Yeah, so good. Yeah, the first chord is C for 2 bars. And Les is playing this little pattern here. That's the pattern. It fits over the 2 bars. And what is that pattern? It's basically a 2-note pattern. C and A. And then there is actually a 3rd note, which is E. But that note, even though it fits the chord of C, that note is actually a ghost sort of note, more for effect. You'll see why later. And the pattern, well, you just want to maybe practice this chunk. Just that much. And what's that? I'm basically just doing alternate picking. Down, up. And the left hand does all the work. So down, up on the A. And then there's a little trill. Hammer on the note C. And then pull off to the note A. You notice that I'm doing the hammer on with the ring finger. You might be tempted to use the pinky finger. It certainly works, but you'll come to notice when you come closer to the original tempo that the pinky is quite weak, and it can be quite difficult to use the pinky at full speed and maintain the stamina, which is why I use the ring finger. It's strong already, and guess what? Les used the ring finger as well. So once again, that pattern is just that. And the right hand is just doing down, up, down, alternate picking. And that pattern is repeated once, Right, so it happens twice. And then followed by just a down up. Just that. And the whole pattern is this. Slow. So you just basically want to practice this slowly with a metronome. You can just count 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? One more time. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the pattern. And if you've mastered this pattern, then you've mastered what? I think the first 8 bars of the song already. So the next chord is C diminished 7. C diminished is C, E flat, G flat, B double flat, or A if you want. And Les is playing the exact same pattern over the chord. Because C fits the C diminished, and so does A. However, the E I mentioned earlier is a sort of a ghost note. It does not fit the C diminished chord, but here it's more like an effect, a noise. So you can sort of finger it, phrase it in such a way that the E is not so audible. So you just have to sort of control the right hand, or just with the left hand you can semi-mute it, mute the note. With the right hand or the left hand, however you can. Just don't try to get the E to stand out too much. Okay? So he does that over the C diminished chord. Then we're back to the C chord. Does the exact same thing. Okay? Then we have the E7 chord. He does the exact same thing, but the notes are just shifted 1 semitone below. So how do you do that? You grab the headstock and you push it like this. Alright? Now you have 7 and 4. And it goes like this. So he does that pattern twice. And then afterwards, that little tag, instead of doing that in the previous sequences, those were eighth notes. This time he's going to do quarter notes. 3, 4. So 1, 2, count along. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that 3, 4. And of course you have the transcription with you, so you can just look at it. It's no different, it's just that little rhythmic variation. So the whole thing, the whole sequence, the first 8 bars would be okay? Easy, right? Next part of the song, F to C. And starts on the 3rd B of the F chord, I think. And it just starts up here on the 13th fret. It's just a little trill. 13 to 15. So make sure your trill is strong, nice hammer on. You literally hammer on. And when you pull up, make it a strong one. Little snap. Okay? And it's very easy. You just go down chromatically. Until here, then open string. That's it. The right hand, you can do whatever you want. I just do downstrokes. I don't know what Les is doing. And the rhythm is very simple, just quarter notes. Actually triplets, but quarter notes on the downstrokes. Okay? And then we have this little pattern on the D7 chord. It's a very guitaristic pattern because it involves open strings. And like the very first sequence we looked at, the open strings are used for effect. They're not necessarily intended musical notes. It's just noise. And the pattern is very easy. It's just this. You know, 5th fret, 7th fret, and 5th fret. Why does that work? Well, it's sort of like a D13 chord. So 7, 5, 0, 7, 5, 0, 7, 5, 0. All those notes fit the D7 chord, with possibly the exception of the open G. But again, the open strings are just for effect. And he's just doing this. So slowly. I think it is. There we go. And it's all triplets, so just very easy. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm just doing downstrokes. Practice this with a metronome. So again, the pull off is very important. Make sure you get that snap. It happens by pushing down diagonally as if the finger were a pick, you know? Okay, so that's over the D7 chord. On the G7 chord, he does the exact same thing here. Again, push your guitar this way, and then 6 and 4. Same thing. He doesn't go all the way to the G string, he just goes on E and B strings. So these notes might sound weird. Why does that work? If you want to know theoretically, it's we call this tritone substitution. The chord is G7. But in the land of theory, when you have a 7th chord, in general, you can replace the 7th chord by another 7th chord where the root is a tritone away. So tritone is this. So D flat 7. So Les is actually thinking D flat 7. Gives this little effect. And it's just this, the same pattern. Well, not exactly the same pattern, but the same sequence. And then, you know, at one point it lands on the note G. I think it's like... Wait. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Does it 3 times. This. And that's the first half of the solo. Second half. Super easy. Back to the C chord, and he's taking this triad shape. Note E, G, and C. So 9, 8, 8. And he's doing upstrokes here, and just playing those notes. So this little bluesy thing, 10th fret on the B string, 11th fret on the E string. And he just sort of bends upwards. 10th fret on the B string, 11th fret on the high E. And there's a little bend. And now, yeah, I was talking about the bend. When you're bending, make sure that your thumb is above the neck. It's sort of your anchor point. And this part of your index is below the neck. I guess it's another anchor. And the bending motion doesn't come from the fingers, but rather from this kind of motion. So. Alright? And the rhythm's like this. 1, 2, 1. I hate my microphone. Stupid tape guy. It goes like this. And then after there's a little sweep. It's an arpeggio, a C major arpeggio. Down, 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 up, down. So 9th fret, 8th fret, 8th fret, 12th fret, 8. You have the transcription with you, so you can just look at it. But the actual motion, you want to do a downstroke on the E, the note E. And as soon as you plug the note, the pick is immediately resting on the adjacent string, the B, ready to pluck away. Then you follow through. And now it's resting on the E string. And then after, down. So that's a sweep motion. And you want to separate the notes with the left hand by doing this. And look how I roll with my index finger. Boom. I roll. To avoid this kind of sound, you want each note to be distinct. And it's just this. The first 3 notes are triplets. So it's just this. And then after it's C diminished chord, same notes here, just this one's different. It's 8, 7, 8. E flat, G flat, and C. And the arpeggio is going to be on the 8th fret, E flat, on the note B double flat or A, then C, then after E flat, same pattern as the C major arpeggio, but over these notes. So like this. Back to C. Now E, E triad. 9th fret, 9th fret, 7th fret. So E, G sharp, B. Same thing. And instead of going here, you just go a semitone below. And the arpeggio, you don't do, but you just end it on the E. Second half, the first half of the second half, it goes like this. Alright, so the last half of the solo is extremely easy. I mean, just follow what's written on the tab. I mean, very self-explanatory. And that, my friend, is the whole solo. The more you know.